Hello again, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. Leaders, I'm going to start off today with just a, a funny, interesting thing that was sent to me. It started off with, I wish my parents could understand. Now, the reason I thought this was so interesting was it had so many parallels to leaders in business as well as in families. One of the first things that this young person said was, it says, when I hang out with a boy or girl, it doesn't mean he or she's your boyfriend or girlfriend. Yeah, I want you to think about this before we answer them, okay? Number two, they said, school is hard and I'm trying my best. Number three, I'm a teenager. I don't always have the best attitude. Number four, I try to make the best decisions by myself, for myself. Number five, I'm young and I want to have fun. Number six, if I'm out all night, it doesn't mean I'm drinking or doing drugs. Number seven, not all my friends can be bad influences. And number eight, I feel useless whenever they compare me to other people. I started thinking about this in the business construct. And I have to tell you, there were times when as a person a director and a manager, I actually heard some of these things told me in the business world. You see, the number one, when I hang out with a boy or a girl, it doesn't mean he's or she my boyfriend or girlfriend. Well, hey, when you hang out with a boy or girl, it probably does mean that you have feelings for them. You must like them a little bit. Whether they're boyfriend or girlfriend, that remains to be seen. But I'll tell you what, you're not hanging out with them because you don't like them. Same way if the water cooler. You don't like them, you're not hanging out with them. School is hard and I'm trying my best. School is hard. Life is hard. Get over it and get it done. Life wasn't supposed to be easy. What it was supposed to be was interesting and provide a curiosity of learning and an enthusiasm of being around and doing for others. See, that's a whole different way to look at it, isn't it? Your attitude. I'm a teenager. I don't always have the best attitude. I wrote that down as I'm an employee. I don't always have the best attitude. Well, you know what? Your attitude's up to you. You can get a good one or not. Get a good one and your life will be a whole lot better. I remember my grandfather who raised me, he said, it's up to you to have a good attitude. And we're working on the farm, and that meant get yourself out of bed, get a right kind of attitude, and get out there and get to work if you want to eat today. And it was pretty much easy as that. Now, the next one here, I try to make the best decisions I can for myself. Well, that's good. That's admirable. Okay? Making good decisions on your own sometimes is a fool's paradise. But asking for input, asking for suggestions, asking for people who know more than you do, helping you discern and make that decision-making process, that's just a smart way to go. Now, this one I love because it said, I'm young and I want to have fun. Well, us old folks like to have fun too, maybe in a different way. But when we look at it through the lens of employment and those kind of things, yeah, everybody wants to have fun. But you have to remember, with fun comes consequences. And knowing what those consequences are before you do them sometimes can save you a whole lifetime of misery. Now, number six was, if I'm out all night, it doesn't mean I'm drinking or doing drugs. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I'm an old guy. My grandfather did raise me, but he said this, if you're out all night, you'd better be over 21 and living on your own, paying your own bills, because Grandpa said nothing good happens in the dark. And I'm going to tell you what, after raising two children, maybe that's a true statement. And I know my two children, they heard me say that a lot. But as an employee, I have to tell you that there were times I was working midnight to 8, 4 to midnight. It was a lot of times, and then you had to be responsible for what you were doing. You had to be accountable for yourself in order to make that happen. I think both things are still true. Number 7, the young person said, not all my friends can be bad influence. Not everybody can be bad influence. Well, you become who you hang around. That's just a fact. And if you hang around bad influence, I guarantee that's what's going to happen to you. So you need to choose wisely and ask for direction when you need it. In the work location, this is a very important piece. Because if you're hanging around the non-doers and the naysayers and the troublemakers, all those kind of folks, you're going to end up in the same place. And it's never a pleasant time or situation. And number 8, I feel useless when they compare me to other people. Yeah. Never feel useless. You're the only person you have to live up to. You see, expectations, though, are there to help you achieve what you can do right now. And let me explain this to you. People rise or fall to the expectations given them, or they rise and fall to the expectations they have for themselves. So for me, I'm going to encourage you to use this fun piece to think about who you're hanging around. That life is not as easy as it shows on TV. That your attitude really does correct on your altitude. That making good decisions is more than just making snap things that you don't know anything about. Yes, everybody wants to have fun, and I encourage it to recreate and recreate. But the thing is there's always some kind of consequence that goes with it. If you're going to be out all night long, remember that accountability starts with you. And I'll tell you what, in the working world, accountability means if you're coming to work the next morning, you've got to be able to perform. You really will become who you hang around. And that's a choice. That's a choice. But never feel useless. Okay? You're the only person you have to live up to. The very best thing I ever learned as a young man in Cub Scouts was do your best. And that meant do my best, not your best, not somebody else, but my very best. And then when I could do that, I was always going to be ahead of the game. And I was always going to be right there at the top of the list. You see, I do wish my parents would have talked to me about those kind of things. And I do really wish that that's the way it happened. I want to talk to you next because I believe this goes right into that second piece of this. You see, so many times I've heard people ask me, Dick, what's this coaching thing? You're always talking about coaching and mentoring, and tell me more about it because I don't quite understand it. I see a coach on the sidelines on a football team or on the baseball team or hockey or wherever, but I don't understand this thing, a personal life coach or a business coach. Well, let me give it to you straight. You see, coaching, first of all, is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing, pretty much continuous. I've had my coach now for, this last one for about 15 years, and we've worked together once a week for those whole time. People say, well, Dick, doesn't that cost you money? Well, yeah, it does cost me money, but I have seen a progression in myself, and I've also seen a progression in the people around me by having that opportunity of a coach. So a coach is not a one-time thing. A coach is not going to give you all the instructions to do things. They're not going to always give you a 6-step plan. They're going to let you work that out. They're going to encourage you through that process. Coaching is not adult supervision. They're going to hold you accountable, sure enough, about the things you say you're going to do and accomplish. But they can't make you do anything. They don't have a big bullwhip or anything else that they can structurally make you do anything. Now, a coach is going to ask questions. They're not going to give advice. There'll be times when the coach and you kind of set the coaching hat aside and go to consultant side, and the mic gives advice when the person asks. But the person has to ask for that. I never give it freely. Coaching is not counseling. Counseling looks at the past and tries to take and reconcile the past so you can live today. Coaches do not have all the answers. A good coach, a great coach, will believe you already have all the answers, and it's their job to answer the right questions at the right time so you can hear yourself answer them and move ahead. Coaching is not mentoring. Mentoring is totally different. Mentoring is coming alongside someone and helping them through and helping them see. It's more of a two-way street than anything else. Coaching is not a manager. We don't tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and we don't beat you over the head when it doesn't get done. We don't take away the pay. We're not a manager. You see, because you lead people and manage things, that's not what we do as a coach. And a coach really does believe in you. So when you're looking for a coach, quite frankly, you might have to talk to several before one fits with you. Coaching enables people to change the way they look at the world and how they will choose to react to it. Just because you were raised one way doesn't mean you always have to stay that way. Believe me, I'm serious about that. The coaching culture, though, requires commitment and action. Commitment from both sides that they'll always be on time, they'll always be apart, they'll always be there, they'll have finished, and taking the action to make sure that happens. You see, one goes with the other. Now, it's not possible to coach if the client is not committed to the process. I, in the past, have had to actually, my wife uses this word, fire clients. Because I had to tell them that no matter how much I wanted to help them, and I would say things like, I love you, and I want to help you, but right now you're not ready, and so you're wasting my time and wasting your money. Now, many of them have come back later date, when they were ready, when they were going to be committed to the process of being coached. Everyone is committed to something. No one can do it all, know it all, be it all without a coach. I am for sure believing in that. I do think, though, it takes time and commitment to put it into use. You see, there are some competencies of a coach, and the competencies of a coach I'm going to share with you because I believe it's so powerful. You see, one of the competencies is a coach is able to take people from the present into the future. That's what makes them different from a counselor. Okay? We don't do counseling. We do coaching. And that means we have the ability with you, by asking you questions and helping you get a plan together, take you from the present into the future. A coach is a person who asks questions of discovery, of awareness, and of choices. Most times, the individual is excited with the discovery process. Now, sometimes that discovery process of discovering things about yourself, it's not as much fun as you think it might be, and sometimes it's almost painful. But it's so rewarding because that brings the awareness of where you're at and where you want to go, and we start to put down some choices of how to get there. This thing of choices, a coach always is going to be there to ask those right questions so you can hear yourself make those choices. It's important. Now, a coach is committed to build a committed and trusting relationship. There is a bond between the coach and the client that goes right there. Whatever we say and do stays right here. All my notes are protected. They're all transcribed, but they're kept in a place where no one else can get to them. when I talk to an individual and they no longer are using our coaching services, we tell them that we keep them for this amount of time and then they'll be destroyed. And that's the way we work things. If they would like to have all those notes and things, we turn them over to them. You see, that's not our property. That's not ours. And so we understand that that's a part of it. Okay? We understand that coaching is grounded and aware of their own blind spots. In other words, I know what I'm really good at and what I can do to help you. And if there's someone else that I need to bring in to do this, I do that. That's knowing where my blind spots are. And I have several coaches that I work with, and we all kind of share that. We all have some kind of expertise that's different than the other person. And that in itself is a huge piece when you're working with a coach. Are you just working with one individual, or do they bring someone in to help when needed? That's something to ask. Now, coaches help you free to choose, make you free to choose, and they're free to choose who they coach, and you're also free to choose who you choose as a coach. I've said before, there are times when I've had to let people go. And I've had other people that we just weren't a good fit. So as a coach, I need to know that when there's not going to be a good fit, I need to know when to let go and when to encourage and when to do those things. But as a client, you also have that freedom to choose. And if I'm not a good fit, let me help you find someone who is. That's a big piece of it. Now, a coach is able to show and practice vulnerability. By that, I mean, I don't know everything. I don't know how to do everything. I can't be everything. And that's why I have people on my team who have a broader scope and some different abilities that I don't have. And when I don't have them, I'm going to tell you. So if you come to me with a problem or an opportunity with electronics or computer stuff, I'm going to bring in Buddy Chuck. I'm not going to bring in myself. That's not my expertise. Okay. Now, a coach is also able to help generate the larger picture. A good coach is going to help you see all the way out here, not just in here. So many times as individuals, we get so blinded. We put those blinders on like they do on the horses, and we can't see out there. So our imagination gets stagnant. Our whole piece of the world gets stagnant. And a good coach will help you realize and move out inside that bigger picture. A coach is intentionally focused on listening for commitment and action. One of the things, if you're working with a coach and there's no commitment and there's no action required, you need to take and give me a call. That's the whole piece. It's a commitment to and from. Sometimes my commitment is to do some research on something we're working on. Sometimes their commitment is they tell me they're going to do something, they're going to take action on part of their life, and I'm going to ask them about it the next time around. How'd that work out? What'd you learn from it? Where are we doing? How are we going? You see, that's the part of pieces that works together. Now, a coach is also intentionally observant of behaviors, of actions, and conversations, looking and listening for behaviors, actions, and vocabulary to align with the client's comments. In other words, I'm always trying to find that way to build that bridge between us. So I'm using the same language as that person is, that I'm on the same page, and now we're talking the same things. As we talk it out, we learn about each other and we learn about how to move forward from where we're at right then and there. But it's this behaviors and actions and vocabulary that become so important. People who know me very well know that I'm an outdoors person. So if you're an outdoors person, I'm very easy sometimes to talk to for you. I can still get in the corporate boardroom, but that's not where my fun time is. So I work with a lot of individual entrepreneurial people. So that's a big piece for me. You see, a coach is able to encourage practices and procedures to align with the client's values, vision, and mission. And practices and procedures, sometimes I've heard people say, well, I feel so hemmed in by practices and procedures. But practice and procedures oftentimes build this thing of trust within yourself of what you can do and what you shouldn't be doing. And that trust in yourself, that you can make those right decisions, oftentimes come from those practices and procedures. And maybe you won't need them down the road, or maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll be different. But putting them into place in the beginning, I believe, is a great idea for the two of you. Now, a coach is also one who allows the client to be responsible for their own moods, but steers the conversation to a positive zone. Many times clients will come in and they're just so frustrated. Their mood is a mood of frustration and not really anger, but they're at that point of not knowing what to do and how to do, and they're just frustrated. And so as the coach, you need to understand that, hey, this is where they're at right now. Let them unload and then steer it to a positive outcome. You see, because everything we do always has a positive outcome. And that's the big part of being a great coach. A coach is one who asks, what's next? What's the plan? What'd you learn from that? Those three questions, I have to tell you, my grandfather was the one who raised me, and he would, I used to almost not like those questions, but now I love them. Because the asking of what's next means that you've done something. The asking of what's the plan means that you've thought about something. And what did you learn from that? That means you tried something. And whether you tried it and it worked, great. And if you tried it, didn't work, great. What did you learn from that? How can we build on that in a positive manner? You see how that works? This is very important, isn't it? Now, a coach is all about having a clear set of personal values for your vision and your mission. I'm going to encourage each of us to do that. I believe when each one of us knows what our values are, what our non-negotiables are, we are so far ahead of the game that when we start looking at our vision, our future picture, and start taking and really spending time with our mission, which is our calling, our passion, that it starts to all come together. But a great coach is always going to encourage you to do a couple things. They're going to encourage you to spend time there. They're going to encourage you to write it down so you can share it with other people. You just never know who you're going to share that with that can help you with your vision and mission. You just never know. But if you don't have it written down, if you haven't spent time with it, you can't even share it with anyone. Now, a coach is transparent. They're transparent enough that they can show that they just do not have all the answers. The difference is if there's a question they don't know, a good coach is going to help you find the answer. They might have to go and call one of their people in that have those answers. They might have to do some research. They might have to encourage you to do some research. You're going to work on that. And that's a big piece. Now, a coach is the one who truly loves the process of helping guide people to another level. This is what I have chosen for my career. I've chosen to be someone who helps others help themselves realize their hopes and dreams and desires. I found out a long time ago that that's what made me happy. That's how I found enjoyment. That's what's got me excited. And that's why I'm on the radio every day with this leadership corner. Because I found out that this whole thing of personal accountability and personal leadership is what drives all successful people. And success is equated in a different manner for each one of us. For some, success is a big house or fancy cars. So for some, success is a family that is knowing and loving. For some, success is raising a dog. Whatever your success is, it needs to be equated in that situation. But I have to tell you, I did 30 years in a corporation where we were provided coaches. And I thought when it first started happening, I thought to myself, well, that's just ridiculous. But as I found myself working with, okay, and struggling through, answering questions, and putting down a vision and a mission, and working on my strategy, my plan, those 30 years flew by. Now, I never did the same job over a few years. I traveled within the company in many, many different places. When that came to an end after 30 years, I was kind of stymied, didn't really know what to do. So I did what I always had done. I built a company. And I found very quickly, as I was building a company, a person who knew more than I did, who could coach me through the process. And as a business coach, this person, I have to tell you, they asked me more questions and pressed me harder than I'd ever been pressed before. But I do believe that's why our company has been a success. Now, there came a time when that coach said, I really think you need to work with my friend over here who is another coach. They have a bigger knowledge of larger corporations and companies. And I believe that they'll do better for you. And it was hard for me to make that break because I'd grown so used to working with this person. But the coach that I have now, we've been together, like I said, I think 12 years now. And now it's a different relationship. Now it's two old guys who get on the phone once a week and help one another. We coach one another more than we do one way or the other. And we share things. But when he needs help with a client, I'm there for him. When I need help with a client, he's there for me. When I need help for myself, he's there for me. When he needs help for himself, I'm there for him. You see how this can work. It's a building of relationship. Yes, we've become great friends, but there's more than that. This thing of a coach and what a coach is not and what a coach can do for you is something you need to really spend time with inside yourself. Now, I know that we've looked at some interesting things today. We've looked at, the fun part of, I wish my parents could understand. And I really tried to put that over into the business type world because I've heard all of those same things over and over. So as leaders, we need to encourage people to answer those questions right up front. As leaders, we need to encourage people to look and find a coach. I worked with a coach one time, and he taught me visioning, how to sit in a quiet place and think about what and where and how and all those different things, and then come out of the visioning process and write them down as milestones on my calendar. And I have to tell you, that was years ago. His name was Dennis Whaley. And when I learned that from Dennis, it changed my whole outlook. Because now I was putting things down, and because it was on the calendar, I was accomplishing those things, and I was moving forward. And when I got to a point where I didn't accomplish that and I had to move that date, it was traumatic. But I was always there, and he was always there for me. Now, on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, I want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. Our hope is that you've received a nugget of wisdom and guidance that will help you build your leadership ability. Now, if you have any questions or comments on today's program, email me, dick@leadershipwrangler.com, dick@leadershipwrangler.com. Set your very own appointment with me at www.leadershipwrangler.com, www.leadershipwrangler.com. You just hit the little button and set your time and date. Or you know what? If you need to talk to me right now, give me a phone call. 727-422-1833. 727-422-1833. We live in Florida, so remember to take and call me at a reasonable time, but I'm usually here for you all the time. And until next time, this is DW the Wrangler saying, ride hard, ride fast.